Have you noticed there's a performance being staged across the country every single day? The actors are politicians, the stage is our news feed, and the script is designed to do one thing: make you angry. It seems they've all become star players in a show designed to weaponize our anger for their gain. This isn't really about policy or progress anymore, is it? It's about selling a potent cocktail of resentment and nostalgia. It's about convincing you that cruelty is a sign of strength and that your outrage is the highest form of patriotism. What if this script is a lie? What if the patriotism they're selling is a hollow imitation meant to distract you while they undermine the very institutions they claim to cherish? This is the story of how politicians sell you anger and call it patriotism. We're living in an age of anger. It's a powerful and contagious emotion, and politicians have learned exactly how to use it. Research shows that when a politician expresses outrage, that outrage can spread to their supporters like a virus. And this is no accident. This is strategy. Angry voters are motivated voters. They're more likely to go to rallies, get involved, and most importantly, show up on election day. Politicians want to get reelected, and anger is a shockingly effective tool to make that happen. But what happens when the anger stoked for a short-term political win starts to burn down the whole house? To understand how we got here, we have to look at the psychology of our political divide. It's not just about disagreeing on issues anymore. It's about identity. We humans are naturally wired to form in-groups and out-groups. We favor our own tribe and tend to view outsiders with suspicion and even hostility. Politicians have become experts at exploiting this us versus them mentality. They frame political differences not as simple policy disagreements, but as moral failings of the other side. They use messages designed to invoke disgust, fear, and anger towards the outgroup. This works incredibly well because these negative emotions are powerful motivators. When our political beliefs get tangled up with our personal identity, a phenomenon called identity fusion, any disagreement feels like a personal attack. This cranks up the hostility and makes compromise feel like betrayal of our tribe. It creates a kind of mental gridlock where we're unable to adapt our thinking even when faced with new information. We start looking for simple, absolute answers which reinforce our echo chambers and deepens the chasm between us. It's no wonder that a majority of Americans report feeling exhausted or angry when thinking about politics. This widespread discontent is the fertile ground where the seeds of manufactured anger are sown. A key ingredient in this toxic brew is nostalgia. Politicians have mastered the art of invoking a mythical golden age, a time when the nation was supposedly at its peak. This rhetoric promises a return to a simpler, better past, a past that often never existed at all. This nostalgic branding is especially effective for populist and radical right movements, which often build their message. This politics of nostalgia frames the present as a period of decline and loss. It tells a story of a nation that has lost its way, its identity, its growth. This narrative is powerful because it offers a simple explanation for complex problems like the economic inequality, globalization, and cultural shifts. Instead of tackling the root causes of people's anxiety, it provides a scapegoat. Migrants, political opponents, or elites who are to be blamed for the nation's supposed downfall. This fuels bitterness in the present. It creates a fantasy version of the country that is used to justify policies that undermine the very institutions politicians claim to cherish. Research shows that this is a deliberate strategy. Nostalgia is used to reinforce populist claims and is often deployed by challengers, candidates for both parties. It taps into the deep-seated feeling that society is changing too fast and that something essential is being lost. For many, this isn't about returning to the past. It's about finding their emotional anchor in a chaotic world. But it is a dangerous anchor, one that keeps us moored in a sea of resentment, unable to navigate the challenges of today. This brings us to the heart of the deception, the difference between performative and substantive patriotism. Performative patriotism is loud, visual, and symbolic. It's flag-waving, it's chest-thumping, the constant declaration of loyalty. It's about being seen as patriotic, usually for political gain. It's the politician who drapes themselves in the flag for a campaign ad, but has never served their country. It's the social media post that attacks opponents for being un-American. Substantive patriotism, on the other hand, is about action, responsibility, and sacrifice. It's a love of country shown through a willingness to critique it when it's wrong and to work to make it better. It's about upholding the nation's founding ideals of liberty and justice for all. The critical difference is that one leads to discomfort and real change, while the other is hollow performance that usually serves to divide rather than to unite. This dynamic is painfully clear in the treatment of veterans. Politicians are quick to use veterans as props, invoking their service to score points in a debate while failing to give them the tangible support they need. Foreign actors have even exploited this by creating fake social media accounts impersonating veterans to spread disinformation, knowing that veterans are closely identified with patriotism and honor. While politicians respect the flag, they often treat budgets for veterans, health care, and services as resources to be raided. We've even seen instances where legislation to expand health care for veterans exposed to toxic substances were blocked due to political squabblings, leaving those who serve to suffer the consequences. This is the ultimate hypocrisy of performative patriotism. It wraps itself in symbols of service while undermining the very people who've actually served. The cycle of manufactured anger and the performative patriotism thrives on political polarization and the declining of national pride. Polls show that the majority of Americans think people are less patriotic than they were in the past, and many see this as a driver of our division. But here's an interesting paradox. An overwhelming majority of Americans, something like 88%, believe it's possible to disagree about politics respectfully. And a solid majority, around 63%, say that they value compromise in a politician over someone who just stands firm. This suggests that despite all of the noise, there is a deep desire for civility. The first step in breaking this cycle is to recognize the performance for what it is. It's about learning to tell the difference between a politician who offers real solution and ones who just offer you someone to blame. What are your thoughts on this? How do you distinguish between a genuine patriotism and this performative display? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this breakdown valuable, consider hitting that subscribe button for deeper dives into things that shape our world. The political theater of anger is a lucrative business. It keeps politicians in power and the public perpetually divided. With strength and ignorance with virtue, they've managed to turn patriotism, once a unifying value, into a weapon of division. This weaponization of patriotism encourages blind loyalty to a personality cult rather than a critical engagement with the complex realities of a nation. The real danger is how this erodes our trust in the democratic institutions and in each other. When every political debate is framed as a battle for the soul of the country, the internal enemy, there's no room for nuance, compromise, or progress. It creates a society where a large majority of Americans, around 3/4, fear that national division itself is a serious threat to democracy. But the script can be rewritten. It requires us to become smarter consumers of political messages. It means valuing substantive action over performative gestures and demanding our leaders focus on healing divisions rather than exploiting them. George Washington, in his farewell address, warned the nation to guard against imposters of pretended patriotism. That warning has never been more relevant. The real patriots aren't the ones telling you who to hate. They're the ones who inspire you to build, to connect, to demand a better and more honest form of leadership for the country you love. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.